Okay, welcome to the first game of Mastemon, and we're playing, of course, against Ragnarlordmon, which is one of the most other hype decks of EX6 from this set here. Now, looking at our opening hand, it looks pretty okay. What we're trying to look for is Gatomon to help us search, grab pieces, and we really need to utilize our Mirai. We are pretty tamer heavy focused, and we definitely need to try to establish at least one of them, whether it's the old one or new one, and we'll walk through and as we get to see right here. Not finding a rookie in the opening hand is totally fine, especially if we're going second right here. We can actually utilize these Gatos. The both new one and the old one are just as great because they on play and search you, grab you cards. But as you guys can see, I whiffed there really unfortunately. So that search was really unfortunate. I was just sort of contemplating to whether play the new one or the old one, but I didn't want to give my opponent too much memory to work with. So therefore I played with the newer one. And I was about to go into Lady Digimon, but double checking on the effects just to make sure to clarify it as much as possible, I decided to go into the Angelwomon instead, which I had in hand because Angelwomon, when digivolving, they both play you a Mirai. Angelwomon is from hand, Lady Devi is from trash. So of course it makes sense to go into Angelwomon, and we're sitting here with a level 5 already, and the new Mirai is really good because the new Mirai gets us memory back when we play something, and we can digivolve as well, and we can also utilize its secondary effect to end of turn DNA without necessarily needing the older Gatomon to fulfill that kind of requirement and condition. So far we still don't have a rookie, which is totally fine. We're setting up our pieces, we're playing the older Gatomon, and continue to grab our cards as we go right here. Also, quickly just to mention, guys, if you haven't done so yet, definitely check out the Space-Time Angel drop right here, which is exactly what we're using for today in this gameplay with Mastemon. Definitely suits it out, and yeah, really appreciate the support. So check out the AVAULT store, details will be left in the description box down below. Anyways, continuing back to the game, the opponent decides to push out, and they've got a pretty good stack established. They're doing their Ragnar things. They have the tie on their side of the board, which is really crucial for that deck because it helps them start the game, or starts their turn at 3 memory, and having that 3 memory, they can use their starter main phase to return something back and start at 4, meaning they can go into their level 6s and not pass turn just yet. And this is exactly, you guys can see what they did here. They even tucked in under a Bryludra just to de-digivolve our stack, playing around our potential blast ace mechanic, because with new Mastemon ace we can actually blast DNA digivolve when they attack with one of the Angelwomon on our board and then the other one with Lady Devi in our hand. So they're playing around it, being very effective. They're gaining a lot of value right here because they get the raid, piercing, I believe, and trashing our secret at the same time, taking a lot of resources out in that one single turn big play. And now it's their turn to threaten that they might have a Ragnarlord ace in their hand, as long as they have another Bryludra in their hand as well, and we can't just go nilly-willy, just go and swing at security right away. But I decided to go into this older Lady Devi from the starter deck, which then lets me grab and trash pieces and sort of like grabbing an Angelwomon back. Here I'm deciding if I want to go for this hard play, but this is a really good sort of showcase of the new cards together. By hard playing this Angelwomon, I can give it sec -2 to their Digimon, and then I get to suspend it to gain the memory back, and I still get to use the end of turn DNA thanks to Mirai's secondary effect. And you guys can notice that none of my Gatomons, nothing in the stack has end of turn DNA, which is why the new ones is really key, letting us play around this. And I feel like I really need to deal with this board. I have to get rid of it, otherwise it's just going to continue to beat us down over and over again. This is why giving them a little bit of memory is totally fine. That's how Mastemon works, because you pay a lot but you get the value out of it back by preemptively DNAing ourselves without utilizing blast. Bring out the new Mastemon, we have to play something back from our trash, we're going to play the Lady Devi, and then we get to send their Digimon back to the security, essentially, and then trashing them until they have 4 left, meaning that we can always really wither down and sort of go through it pretty quickly. And it also gives us information knowing that the bottom one is always going to be a Durandamon right here. They do have the Legend Arms option, the newer one, which lets them play something back. They decide to play the Duramon back here, and we do give them quite a lot of memory to work with, but that's totally fine. We have 2 bodies on the board, we have a Lady Devi, we have Angelwomon in our hand, and we have another Mastemon ace ready to counter their attack right here. So we have really good control elements. We're forcing them to sort of think and forcing them to try to make them play around us, and we're pretty good right here. And yeah, the only downside with the newer Mastemon ace, which I kind of don't like, is that we can't play Lucemon fall down mode or chaos mode. from our trash back, so we can only kind of restrict it to the Archangel and Angel specific stuff. Although Lucemon looks like an angel, it's not. It's a demon lord. It has no any angel trait within it whatsoever, but that's totally fine. They're gonna go into this Bryludra, they go into 6, they get to have raid thanks to Duramon, and they try to raid into our Mastemon ace right here. They get to trash the security first off the inheritable because they redirect an attack. They're going into our Mastemon ace, trying to get that ace overflow here. Here we're actually gonna have to make a decision whether we want to blast DNA on them or not. Now, I'm kind of contemplating C. I think this is a great opportunity, so I decided to go for it anyways, since I have Angelmon and Lady Devimon, and with that, I can still play something back from trash or hand if I choose to do so, but like I mentioned, not being able to play Lucemon is a little bit of the drawback, but we still get to choose to play something else, whether it's like a level 5, which is usually what we want to go for, and so then we can set up another one to keep our level 5s afloat as much as possible, because that's my goal, because then the following turn I can continue to try to DNA into another Mastemon over and over again. And this is also one of the reasons why the older Mastemon is just still really good, because the old one can let you play any level 5, meaning it still works very well, especially well with the old Lucemon and this new, both Lucemons essentially right there. So we're gonna let them actually raid into us. No, actually, no, we're not going to let them raid into us, because by going into Mastemon, we get to make them choose one of their Digimon to go back into security, but Bryludra is actually unaffected. So since that's the case, with knowing that our other ace Mastemon was going to be gone anyways, that's exactly the reason why I decided to tuck my own, so that I can at least actually recover a security and try to stay in the game as optimally as possible. That's the whole reason why I did that, and we did lose ace overflow, but we're gonna lose it anyways, which is why I tucked it away. But here they're gonna continue to play, and we saw them to search. They found another Ragna there. They found some pieces with the Zubamon. Being able to get 2 hits is really good for them. And then they're tucking in another Durandamon here. They're probably might even looking into hard digivolving Ragna, because they have those both, just a level 6 on there, which kind of works. We don't always have to necessarily abuse and try to, play via the blast DNA digivolving, which is pretty good on them as well. But yeah, they're with here on the board. They're gonna threaten one, and yeah, that's the whole reason why I went into that other Master Ace anyways, because I want to keep a level 5 body afloat as much as possible, and that's actually a really important thing to keep in mind when you're playing this deck, because you need those level 5s and you need to DNA. So I'm going to go ahead and push out the Sala, being able to digivolve into the Odogato, reducing the cost by 1 so I can search and find some more pieces if I need to. And here, this is the moment where I decide to, okay, which Angelmon do I want to digivolve into here? I'm going to go into the new one once again, give it sec -2. Now at this moment, before it passes to their turn, we get to use our end of turn effect with Mirai to go ahead and DNA into the older Mastemon right here. And here's a really great showcase, because now we can enable our Lucemon combo alongside with it, because the old Mastemon, like I mentioned earlier, we can always play any level 5 basically from our trash. So we're going to put the Lucemon to the top of security, take a quick look at it, and we're probably most likely playing this one anyways. And then we're going to force them to delete something. Now, they could have chose their Bryludra because their Bryludra was protected, but if it didn't end up deleting Bryludra, they're going to have to trash a security, and we get to recover 1. So they end up choosing to sort of trade the rookie from that anyways. Mastemon's secondary effect is going to pop the other rookie on the board, so we're trying to like control and clear the board as much as possible. But now we're sitting in a position where we don't have ace threatening anymore at this moment, so it's really free range on up to them what they want to do. And again, they quite have the amount of sufficient memory to work with, and they can do things with Ragnar Lord, which is also a really powerful control deck and very decent, with lots of different utilities and tools, as you guys can see, which is really cool. But at least we're sitting here with Master. We'll just have to see how they want to react with it and how they want to play with it. And with our chaos mode, Lucemon Chaos mode, we can sit there and potentially maybe DNA into another level, into another Mastemon if we want to, utilizing it, but we can't blast DNA. That's the only thing. So they go into the Raijin Ludomon here by tucking it underneath, and by tucking it underneath, they're gonna force one of our Digimons to attack, meaning that they're gonna force our Mastemon, stun and main. We're basically taunted, and this is where we cannot, we don't have a choice. This is the moment where we don't have a choice, and we're basically forced to attack them, and we basically feed into their blast DNA. We resolve our effects first. I'm seeing if I want to do any alliance or anything like that, but probably not. just because they're gonna go into Ragna, they're gonna start trashing our security, they're gonna de-digivolve us, and they're just gonna pop our thing as well. So they pop our chaos mode right here, and they still have blocker, which essentially clears our entire board here, and we're basically forced to play from behind from now with nothing left. So that is why I decided to go ahead and play the older Mirai just to set up and see maybe for the next turn we can go for a comeback and start turn things around and try to control the board all over again. But it looks like they here have a Doraemon to place underneath. Ragna swings for essentially 2 checks, and Zubair finishes off the game. Alright, here we are with game 2. We are playing against Blue Flare. Blue Flare is actually still a really good deck generally, but here let's just quickly look at our opening hand. We do have a rookie, but that's, again, like I mentioned before, that's not something what we really want to look for. What we're really trying to look for is Mireis, Gatomons. We want to be able to search, find pieces, and continue our combos that way. Yes, we have a rookie. We can Digivolve it in the back, but we're going first. And if I draw into a card that's not playable, that can't help me continue and extend my setup turn, then it's really not worth it. And here again with the old classic, we have a much better hand here, arguably even. We are giving our opponent 5 memory, which is totally fine because the whole mentality is we want to slap down this Gato as soon as possible, search and find pieces, but in return, our opponent came out with an incredibly turn 1 aggressive play with Metal Gray, Digicrossing with Greymon underneath Sec +1, and jamming, swing for 2 checks, going to Z Gray, unsuspending, and swing for another 2, immediately putting us down to 1 security right off the bat, and we weren't even able to find anything valuable for us over there. But they do pass us back with 5 memory with Blazing Memory Boost, so we get to utilize it a little bit. So at this moment, I noticed that they don't have a Tamer at all, which is why I decided to go for Chaos Degradation. But even if they had a Tamer, they can't really material save anyway, so I felt like, you know, getting rid of those pieces is really crucial, because now I noticed that the Blue Flare player has very little cards in their hand. With such little cards in their hand and going for such an explosive combo early, we can try to attempt to regain control all over again. Right here in this particular turn, I'm contemplating if I actually want to swing with Sala first, because if I swing with Sala and have it deleted, I can use Narrowmon for when attacking to draw and trash away a Mirai, Digivolve into Lady Devi, and then use Lady Devi to play the Mirai back from trash. That's what I really wanted to do, but I kind of felt like I don't want to sacrifice a body either, because every single body to me is fairly important when it comes to Mastemon, just because we want to continue to make sure, like I said before, having as many level 5s as much as possible, so then we continue to threaten the Blast DNA and continue to cycle that way, which is why I didn't go for that. So I Digivolved into the BT16 Gato instead, trashed the card off of its effect to toss away the Mirai, and then went into Lady Devi here. Yes, I know I might be feeding into Blue Flare because they can stun multiple things. The wider the board we have, the better it is for them, especially at the perfect number of 2 bodies. But I'm okay because I'm playing around it based on the knowledge and fact that they only have 2 cards in their hand and they don't have a lot of resources. So we're slowly regaining here, and I'm contemplating, do I want to Blast DNA Digivolve? Not Blast DNA. Do I want to do an end of turn DNA right here to go into a Master preemptively? So we're going back into the old one, but as you guys can see, we don't really have much to really play. You know, it'd be nice if we can play like a Lucemon Chaos Mode like before, so we can recover, trash their security, and all that stuff. But otherwise, playing the Gato is not bad at all back as well, because we can continue to search and find pieces. They're going to try to chip away the Gaussmon, which we are totally fine with it, because we saw the Mirai earlier in our security, which we couldn't have grabbed with Angelomon anyways, which is totally fine. But now having double Mirai set up on the board is just really good for us, because we can utilize these and gain a lot of value and continue to establish the momentum. Yes, I know we're down to 0 security and we're on the brink of losing this game, but don't worry, I'll show you guys how to make a crazy comeback with this. Mastemon is so good with control that it's totally fine. We're going to continue to whittle down their resources and not let them attack into us, and then our game plan afterwards is to go for an all-out massive attack all at once later on and chunk all their security. So this is the moment where I realized that we have to actually try to take down as many of their Digimon as much as possible. Attack with Mastemon. We can DP reduce things as well, and also delete it, go into Lady Devi, even though we can't play a Mirai, which is fine because we have one already, so we can delete one of the level 4s. And yes, Gaussmon is going to help them cycle and go through more pieces because they can play this Greymon, which should have been suspended, by the way, because of Gaussmon's effect. But here we're also trying to analyze the board state, see what else we can do. With Angelomon inheritable from BT11, we still have blocker, which is really good, but it doesn't matter anyways because I'm going to go into a ruin mode. I was actually contemplating if I can go for a fancy combo, you know, go into another Mastemon and then DNA into a Ordaimon from hand, but there's really not a lot of stuff to delete on the board at that moment. So I felt like I could save it for a little bit, and you know, it's more better with Ordaimon when we get to like delete multiple things so we get to recover and make a huge comeback off of it. But with ruin mode on the board, they can't really put down anything, hard play, anything they play out won't get on play effect. It'll just get minus 5,000 straight off and get deleted. So they can really just play a tamer and set us off. But here you guys can see a huge difference in this game by having the older Mirai, which is a 5-cost one. But establishing that as early as possible, that's how I like to play it. I personally like to establish the 5-cost one first because it, you know, it can always give you the long-term return value for the rest of the game, and then find a way to hard play the 4-cost one afterwards instead. And the other way around, it makes it a little bit more difficult, but it's fine, it's playable. But you guys can see the optimization and how long we can actually stay in this game just because of all those extra value we have. We can get to choose the end of turn DNA with a new one. We can hard play stuff, gain memory back, and then digivolve as well. Otherwise, we can utilize the old one to play one of the vice versa other of Angelomon or Lady Devimon, as long as we have one stack on the board, and then continue to DNA that way too. So here we're gonna go for all these combos and continue to digivolve. And here I'm trying to see if I want to go and chip a security, but I kind of want to be careful with this as well. So I decided to go into this Angelomon again, BT11 one, and contemplating if I want to do a end of turn DNA here at this point. Now I'm looking at my trash. I don't really feel like I really need to, because the only Mastemons I have in my hand now at this moment are the blast ones. And it would have been ideal if we had the older one, so then we can kind of go for like the chaos mode, say Lucemon chaos mode combo and force them to delete things, and if not, we get to recover and so on. But we can at least with one of each of these bodies, we can threaten double blast DNA, which is going to be really difficult for the opponent. They go into the EX4 metal gray to trash some of our sources. They do get to swing and stun, but we have enough resources in our hand where we can actually go for Mastemon first, DNA with it on top of the Lady Devi, play something back out, which I'm actually going to try and play a Lady Devi because my hand is filled with Angelomons. So then I can threaten another blast DNA right afterwards as well. Again, keep in mind, we can play Lucemon Chaos Mode, which is a little bit unfortunate when it comes to that card, but still really good right here. We get to send their Digimon back to their security as well with it. And then now we have more level 5s to continue to threaten blast DNA if they ever try to attempt to even attack into us. Looks like they're going to go for an all-out aggressive play, and they really want to go into try to attack and finish the game right here on us, stunning the board, which is really good, but they have to just bank on this. But unfortunately for them and fortunate for us, we got another blast DNA coming out with Angelomon Ace. I decided to go for that one, and then we can blast DNA into another second Mastemon from our hand, and then we get to play another body again, which is level 5 or lower. And yes guys, I made a huge mistake. I know I've been saying you can't play chaos mode the entire time of this gameplay video, and I proceeded to do so, completely forgetting during the time when I was recording and all that. But after that, we talked about the opponent and all that. We kind of mentioned that it actually didn't matter anyway because they deleted their own tamer, and whatever body we played out here anyways, we, you know, no security was trashed, nothing was recovered. We could have played some other level 3 or 4 because we're actually gonna go for an all-out attack this turn anyways to finish off the game. So by pushing out the Salamon, going into the Gato from trash, and then I'm just gonna, you know, try to throw away some stuff and grab stuff back as well, grabbing the old Maste back, which is why I really like this BT16 one as a tech one, because I can grab things back. And then we're just going to try to see how we want to sequence this attack correctly, trying to play our best. But if they have a Sorai or some kind of removal, it is what it is. But this is a great opportunity because they have no rookie at the back. They have not a lot of sources saved under their tamers, and we just go and attack, and we were able to finish the game, winning it in the end. Alright, game 3, we're playing against Cherubimon here. We are going second, so I'm trying to see if I want to keep the hand or not. I know I mentioned that the main cards we want to see is Gatomon, but I kind of went for a little bit of a gamble here just because I have a rookie, and since I'm going second, in fact, I kind of got lucky, pretty lucky, finding 2 Gatomons in the end. and end up being able to hard play this one to search, and grabbing 2 hits with a Mirai and another target is just absolutely value for us. That's usually the optimal search right there. And then now our secondary game plan is to try and establish the Mirai as soon as we can. The earlier and the longer we have any other of the Mirais, the better it is going to be for us. So here I don't have the new Angelwomon to work with, but I know I have the new Lady Devimon at the moment. So I think what I really should have done was maybe try to promote with the Sala, swing with it, trash a Mirai from hand with Narrowmon when attacking, and then I can Digivolve into a Lady Devi follow-up. That's usually my first line of play that I want to go for, but there is an issue. They have a level 5 out here. That means we have to immediately respect the Cherubi Ace for its counter, which can potentially get rid of our board and get rid of our important Digimon. So in the end, I've decided to go for the BT11 Angelwomon instead and search my security, take a peek. There's really only 2 options. I could have grabbed either the Angelwomon identical to it or another Ordainemon, which is my 1 of tech. And I decided to grab that one because I know that against Cherubi, it is a really good card to actually counter in the late game, which can turn the entire tides, turn the entire table, just because I know how wide they can go. So I'm just trying to get it as a contingency, just in case if we get into that kind of late game stage and I can pull off the Ordainemon, that will be absolutely epic. But anyways, here back to us. They continue to search. They try to chip away with Alliance, but we end up having a strong security, taking out their Antilamon. So we're here at the moment where we can promote into the Sala. And then I was actually going to go for that play where I'm debating, do I want to Digivolve into Gado to search to give them as little as possible? But either way, let's try to get rid of that Lopmon first. And then we go into this Gado, so then we can go Gado search, grabbing another Lady Devi, and then grabbing another Mirai here. Our opponent is giving us as little memory to work with as possible. So I didn't feel like I want to like hard play a Mirai by paying all that memory, because I know there's an opportunity and I want to try to go for that chance to play it by an effect to get it out for free, to get the utmost value there. So here I'm going to chip away with the Gado here and draw trash, of course hatch my egg as well prior to that, and then try to swing for security, hitting into Heaven's Judgment, which I kind of made a slight misplay here looking back. I really should have trashed that Mirai, because I've been talking about the entire early stage of the game, because now I end up Digivolving to that Lady Devi anyways, and I don't get any other effects, where I really should have just trashed the Mirai instead of the Lucemon Chaos mode, just because I could have set up 1 free Mirai, and that would have been night and day for us. But nonetheless, I still resulted to Digivolve into Lady Devi, just because I know they can have a chance to promote, come out and do some combos, and I need to always threaten the ace with having a Mastemon ace in my hand and an Angelwomon, which is always very likely. So they end up giving us quite a bit of memory here to work with 5. So I've been debating here, is this a chance where I can actually just hard slam some Mirais? Or I decide to top, luckily that we top deck into this Angelwomon, so I decide to go for this one and then immediately put down the 5 cost one, which is the older one, giving them 1 more memory, sending up to 2 to work with. I could have played the other one, which would have been 4 cost. But either way, we still put them to 2 memory regardless. So that, because of that reason, I felt like the 5 cost one is always just more value, just because it's always going to constantly give us a memory starting off over and over again. But here's a really good example where I mentioned earlier with Ordainemon, is that you guys can see a really wide board at the state at the moment. So if we're able to actually pull off an Ordainemon combo later on, we can actually go popping like crazy. But they do have a lot of attacks. They can go for Alliance, but here they're also playing and being respectful of our Mastemon ace, because they know we have multiple Lady Devis, and they probably, anticipate that we have Mass Ace. So they go for an Alliance check right here, and it just makes sense to go for the Blast DNA regardless. So we go into the new Mass Ace immediately, and then with the new Mass Ace, we can play something back from our trash. We're gonna go for the Lady Devi, just because we have a Mirai set up already, so we can pop a level 4 off its effect. And then we can use the Mass Ace's effect to send the Cherubi Ace back to their security, trashing the top so that they only have 4 left, and trashing that Mimi is just absolutely perfect for us, because now they don't have a Memory Tamer to work with, and the Ace Overflow comes back to us, which is a huge advantage at this moment. So then we can go for a very aggressive control style right now. I decided to hard play the Angelwomon Ace to trash security, recover 1, minus 6k to the unsuspended Lopmon, and then we go into the older Mastemon here, picking up back that Lucemon Chaos mode, playing it out, making them make it forcing them to make a decision to delete something, otherwise we get to recover and they get to trash. So we're gonna alliance with 2 checks, clearing their entire board right here and basically chipping them down, doing a lot of damage. And then here I'm just trying to see if I can do for end the turn by giving them more memory to work with, which is totally fine, but we end with a ruin mode, and ending with the ruin mode just seals off and shuts off for any play that they can pull out. And afterwards, all their level 5s, I mean all their level 4s are 5k or lower. They can only really hard slap a level 5 at this moment, or play some option, or try to hard slap that Antilamon and try to bait the ace to finish it off. But we're gaining so much memory, so much advantage from Mirai and then from the Sala outside. We don't have to fancy it out. We're just going to go for the simple chaos degradation. We know what the last security is, trashing it, and then we get to swing for game. Make sure to grab your copy of the Spacetime Angel playmat on the AVAULT store right now. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you in the next video, and this is AVAULT signing out.